At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability, ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Hey y'all, and welcome to another episode of the Millennial Management Podcast. I am your host, Brandy, the Millennial Manager, and if you are inside of Patreon, today is Thursday. If you are a public listener, it is Friday, and I hope you are having a good ass day. I really hope that you are enjoying your morning. I hope that everything that you have wanted to happen is happening. To Patreon, I want to say a special shout out. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast financially. I really appreciate your love and support. Also, we have a live event that is coming up on next Saturday, March 8th at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. And if you would like to purchase your tickets, it is $9 for the tickets. And for Patreon, you have a special code that will be posted inside of Patreon. So thank you, everyone that has already purchased a ticket. I woke up this morning and I saw people had already purchased tickets, and I received DMs about how to purchase the ticket. So you just go to my link and I'll make sure to post it inside of this episode. So let's get to our topic of today: how to know that you are about to be fired. Because I don't think people realize the signs. We've talked about this on social media, and I can't even remember if I did a podcast about this, but there are some key signs that your ass is about to be out of a job, and we need to start recognizing those signs. One of the reasons is because we know that companies are laying off left and right. We know the shenanigans that are going on inside of the federal government, and they do affect the private sector. So you need to know what the fuck is going on, and I'm here to tell you. Sign number 1 is very obvious, okay? And this is not for layoffs. This is for people who are about to be terminated. If there is a sudden decrease in communication between you and your manager, you start getting excluded from important meetings, they start leaving you off of messages and emails and things that are very important, and you are an intricate portion of how these things get done, and all of a sudden you're not included in these fucking conversations. Sign number 1. Sign number 2 is that there is a shift in performance feedback. Okay, normally you receive these glowing reviews. They talk about how amazing you have been at your job. They love the effort that you put forth. They love all the things about you, right? And then all of a sudden, some time done pass, and now you start to receive unexpected negative performance reviews. They all use the same fucking playbook. And I want you to know when the hammer is about to drop. When you start seeing things like this, the sudden decrease in communication from your manager, being excluded from important meetings that you are either a pertinent holder of information or your job is essential in this, right? You cannot do your job without having the information that is inside of this meeting. Baby, go ahead and start interviewing now. But let's go back to our second point, the unexpected negative reviews. This is very common in a pet to threat situation. If you or if your boss feels threatened by you, intimidated by you, please understand you cannot control their imagination at all, right? We talked about it in a video that we did a couple months ago, or maybe last month, I feel like it was, that we talked about the pet to threat situation and how dangerous that could be to your career, because you cannot control somebody else's insecurity. You can't make them feel secure because they have to feel secure in their career. You cannot make them feel that way. And so you have to be careful with taking on the emotions from that, because it will send you into emotional turmoil, trying to figure out how to make this situation better, when in reality, the decision has probably already been made and they're just playing games. And you need to understand that. that a lot of times when a pet to threat situation is happening, I never recommend that people stay, ever. I never recommend that. I always say once you start seeing this situation, it's time for you to make a move. It really is. You can't really stay because it is dangerous to your career. It's dangerous to you being successful in this position under this particular manager because they are delusional. They have their own imagination. They have their own thought, and you cannot control that. Say it. I cannot control that. Can you control their emotions and how they feel about you? No. No, we cannot. Another red flag is increased scrutiny. They start to nitpick and complain about every single thing that you do. Everything. Like things that they have loved before, now they do not like so much. And they are starting to heighten their concerns, and it's via paperwork. It's documented evidence that they do not like whatever it is that you're doing. And one of the reasons why they do that is because they want to have something on paper, something that is documented to show them like, hey, I have talked to this person. They have not improved. They have not made any changes. Let's move forward with the PIP. And we all know that what happens when a PIP comes. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Right? Thank you very much. We all know, okay? If you get put on a PIP, you need another JOB. Understand? Thank you. Now, let's go into layoffs. Key signs that your company is about to lay you off is that there is a high level concern about overhead costs. They start talking about it in projection meetings. They start discussing it. If you're an hourly employee, they really start to hone in on the time that people are working overtime. They really have concerns about the hours that the staff is working. They are on top of managers about getting people off the clock. Like if you are an hourly employee, if you are salaried, they are more so talking about the overall costs of running the business. And when they start to get concerned like that, you should be concerned as well, because that means that they are about to lay you off. Okay. If they are constantly concerned about finances, they're concerned about bills being paid. Maybe you've seen, if you work administratively, you've seen bills come back, declined, and not because the car was expired, because there was no money there. That is a sign. That is a sign, guys. The second sign of layoffs is reimagining roles and positions. So when they're ready to do a reconstruction or they're ready to do like a mass layoff, they're going to reorganize everyone's role. They're going to start task tracking. This is something they also do, like if it's a manager trying to come after you. But if they want to combine positions, combine roles, they are going to start asking you all to document the things that you do day in, day out. Now, when they start doing that, what they're doing behind the scenes is combining these positions. How can we make John and Mary one position? How can we do that? The way that we do that is have them document what they're doing and bring those positions together. And that saves us on one salary. That's exactly it. If they start saying restructuring, reorganizing roles, reimagining the position, if they start using terms like that, please know that layoffs or terminations are coming. Okay, you need to be prepared and you need to be aware of what happens before. That is the point of this account. That is the point of the podcast, is to make sure that people understand these things that could be happening in the background and they're not really paying attention. You know, they're just going to work every single day. The third way that you recognize that layoffs are coming is that there is a company-wide hiring freeze or a significant reduction in posted positions for you all to apply for, or even for outside people to apply to. So if they start cutting down the positions online, they're not really hiring anyone, that is a sign that spending is a big problem and overhead costs is a big problem. And rather than try to figure out a more efficient way to improve overhead costs or I guess decrease overhead costs, companies will just immediately decide to fire people. That's the solution. And it's lazy because they're really not putting, their best foot forward and making sure, how can we keep people, be more efficient and not have extremely high overhead costs? That requires them to think, and they don't want to do that. The easiest thing is to terminate people flat out. And that's why they do it. That's why it's the first thing to happen when there's a issue with overhead costs. Leadership changes. Executives are being terminated, let go. So are managers. They have a shift in new leadership with changes to company operations. Now, if you want to find information about companies who are getting ready to lay off, they have to report that. Okay. And the site that you want to use, because right now the Department of Labor site is a little difficult to navigate by design. Go to warntracker.com and just put in the time frame that you want to see. So we want to look at 2025. It's still early. And there are quite a few companies that have documented that they're going to be laying off employees for March. They're going to be laying off March 31st. There's one company called REI, Recreational Equipment, Inc. Advanced Drainage Systems is going to be laying off. Yacoma TWS North America will be laying off, and they report it here. And so if you ever want to know whether or not your company is going to be laying off a certain number of employees and they don't fit those loopholes that we discussed in the WARN Act video, then they will be posting it here. Now, some of those loopholes is, number one, there's a major natural disaster in your area. Of course, they don't have to report that because that is unexpected, right? And that's where these reports, or that's why they have to report it, because it is something that they expect they should be reporting to the federal government. And then this website is who tracks it for public record. Another reason why they may not have to report is if there's some type of unforeseen, unprojected hit to the business, something that was not expected, something that, just drained the business. They don't have to report that they're going to be laying off. If there is a concern that if they report and give everyone a 60-day notice that people are going to quit and jump ship, and if it's going to affect the company to a great deal, they do not have to report. And it's sad, but it's true, and that's where a lot of this has to be put in front of people so that they can understand what we are facing. Everything is not rainbows and butterflies in a corporation. That is not your safest bet. The federal government is not the safest bet. And the federal government does not have to comply with this also. It's crazy. This is a requirement of corporations. But the federal government does not have to comply, which is how they have been able to do what they're doing now. So now that we have discussed all of that, let's go into some of our emails. I have an email from Betty. It says, can you talk about when a company rescinds your job offer? This is completely legal for them to do. It's a terrible thing, but baby, it happens. It could be due to a myriad of reasons. Number one, maybe there's an issue with your background. If you are going to be working in a information sensitive position, and they do a background check, maybe you did not pass or verify, or they could not verify the information that you gave them when it comes to your employment history, maybe your degree. Let's say that there was some false information given, because people lie. And maybe you say you work somewhere that you really did not. When they call that place after they have offered you the position, which I don't know why anybody in their right mind would, you should always verify this information for people. But sometimes they do want to make a tentative offer to kind of let you know that they're interested while they research and verify this information. But Lord have mercy. Don't lie and tell them that you work somewhere that you really did not. Okay? Because when we call and verify, that lets us know that you cannot be trusted and we're not going to bring you up in here. Another issue could be financial difficulties, because the other ones were like related to the candidate, but financial difficulties within the company reconstructing. Maybe they are, like we talked about, reorganizing, reimagining roles and positions, changes in the business need. Maybe there was a shift and they decided, we don't need to hire another person, which could be also because of a hiring freeze. So it's all related, and it could be any of those reasons, but they are well within their right to do it, and it is not illegal. It's terrible, but it's not illegal. All right, and on to our next email. This one says, "Hey, Brandy, I sincerely need your advice on this. I worked at a community college for 10 years in a variety of roles as faculty, then clinical coordinator, which was offered after a peer turned it down. The peer who turned it down told me that they would be calling me, which happened, and I accepted. Then I wanted the simulation position 5 years ago, but the position was not offered to me well after the person who did it did not do well for the past 5 years. I was offered the position last semester to essentially clean it up. During that time, my department chair was out on leave, and I also held the role of interim department chair for 6 weeks. Oh my God. The dean suggested that I apply for department chair at a different campus. I recently won an award in October that the hiring team and attending reception had published in the college newsletter in January. A friend of mine applied as well externally, who has only held the role of faculty. They hired my friend, the external candidate, and I feel used and upset, as it seems jobs are never offered to me first. I have received the highest praise or highest raise the last 5 years and do not understand what more I could have done. I have asked for feedback and I'm still waiting to hear more. Please give me some advice. I am crying and devastated that they had me do more work or do the work in the interim but did not give me the job. I look forward to your response." Betty. Why are you mad? Just because they ask you to do the work doesn't mean you have to. That's y'all first problem. Y'all need to stop saying yes to covering shit in the in-between, because that does not make you a guaranteed candidate when it's all said and done. You have an expectation of what you think should happen. That is not always going to be the case. That's not all. They ask you to cover the position, and you can say yes or no. And you have to decide that. Covering the position clearly is not going to get you what you want. So don't do that shit again, okay? Do not cover anybody. Also, yes, they used you because you let them. People do what you allow them to do, and you let them do that to you. I'm going to tell you, friend, dear heart, your friend applied for the position and got the job fair and square. So I hope that your resentment is not going to be geared towards this person, but towards the organization. I definitely feel like you have to understand that there is no allegiance, no loyalty when money is involved and when it's a corporation involved, okay? They don't owe you that position. And it's terrible because you are expecting this. And this is why we need to change our expectations. Because what we think is right, what we think is supposed to happen is not going to be the case all the time, because we are individual people making that decision. This is a corporation, a organization that you work for. And they decided to go a different route because it met business needs. Whatever that business need is, you will never know. Also, for feedback, you're probably not going to get any. If you do get it, it is going to be minimal information, because they can't say why you did not get the job. They're just going to tell you that she was a better candidate for whatever reason. Maybe she wanted less money. The reasons could be astronomical as to why, but that's not for you to know. I'm sorry. I really feel like we have to change our expectations. Please, Because when you over expect and people under deliver, you are left in an emotional state that can be not repairable. Like the relationship can be damaged forever because you have this high expectation of them. Lower your expectations and you will not be disappointed. So, on to our next email. This one says, good morning. The use of profanity is not useful and not needed. It is not an effective way to communicate. As a grown woman of color, people are listening and observing. Do better. Fuck you. I don't have to. I can talk the way I want to talk, and I am going to continue because this is how I talk regular. So, it doesn't really matter. You have a good ass day, Wendy. Okay? You can actually unfollow me. I don't know. I tried to find your account, but I really don't care to. Please unfollow me. Thank you so much and have a good ass day. All right, on to our next email. This one says, hey, Brandy, I applied for a dream job supporting an activist of color as her operations manager. The recruiter/human who will be the manager for this position looked at my LinkedIn. You know, LinkedIn lets you know who views your profile. This week, about a week ago, the position closed on Friday and I haven't heard anything. Should I reach out to the hiring manager and introduce myself, or should I let it go, wait till Friday? They said the applicants will be notified by Friday, but I don't want to be missed by not making myself stand out. I hate my current job, so I can't tell if I'm operating from a place of desperation or if it's a smart networking move. Baby, yes, you are desperate because you hate your job. So you trying to find any way to get out of there and waving a flag to say, hey, girl, hey, But they said that the position or the people who apply will be notified by Friday. So be notified by Friday. You need to have some patience. This may not even be the position that you really need to get out of your position and be into a good place. And if you force it, maybe it's a position that is not for you. So let the things that need to happen naturally, because everything doesn't need your hand to move. Some things just need to happen naturally and organically. And if your application is chosen and they decide to move forward with you as a candidate, they will. They will. You just need to be patient. Be patient. I know you hate your current position, but I definitely hope that you are applying with other companies or organizations as well. Okay? Please make sure you are doing that because I don't want all your hope and faith into this one thing and you're not selected on Friday. So please let us know if you are, and we're wishing you the best of luck, but be patient, honey. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Please make sure that you purchase your ticket to our live event on next Saturday, March 8th at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, okay? The link is in my bio. I'll make sure to include it inside of our comments or inside of the podcast information. For Patreon, you have a special link and code because y'all are special people. Thank you so much for sponsoring the podcast, and I'll see y'all asses later. You have a good ass day. That's all right, Wendy. You like that cussing? Good ass day. Have a good one, y'all. Love y'all. Bye.
This is a mini meditation guided by Bombas. Repeat after me. I'm comfy. I'm cozy. I have 0 blisters on my toes. And that's because I wear Bombas, the softest socks, underwear, and t-shirts that give back. One purchased equals one donated. Now go to bombas.com/listen and use code LISTEN for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/listen and use code LISTEN at checkout.